Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, gamers, geezers, and geeks, starfighter pilots, dinosaurs, Spider-Man, and Keith. It's this week's Monkey Nut Punch podcast. As always, Nigel keeping me company. My stalwart. How are we doing, Nigel?
What's up, mate? I'm all good, just about. Got a bit of man flu, but it's all good. I'll power through.
And we've got
not the Rona, is it?
It's not.
I don't think so, mate. I'm not coughing or anything like that.
And we've got Keith. Hello, Keith.
Hello.
And we're joined by two very special guests this week. We've got Ryan and Topher from Real Team 6. Say hello, guys.
Hi.
Glad
to be here.
Not having a webcam, but we were not really fond of it.
We didn't do our hair this morning, that's why.
No, that's fine. That's mine.
No hair, yeah, nor did I, mate.
I'm tired. I don't mean toilet. Okay. So on this week's show, we will be discussing a lot of little bitty movie news from Marvel to Jurassic Park. We'll be going through some TV stuff, referring to Netflix stuff, and then we'll be talking games, Spider-Man, Minecraft, and we'll be doing a review-ish of Star Wars Squadrons with myself and Keith, and then we'll be talking about The Boys, followed up by a What the Fuck story. So, our first story on the docket is one that Keith dropped in at the last bloody moment. Thanks, Keith. Thanks for putting it at the top of the billing too, which is the bit that gets me. Jamie Foxx claims that he's returning for Spider-Man 3 and more. It looks like they're doing a Spider-Verse style thing, and Jamie Foxx leaked a picture of himself online and then had to take it promptly down. So we're looking at a Spider-Verse sort of kind of universe thing to fit in with the Doctor Strange and the madness of whatever, and the DC thing that they're doing too with the Flashpoint stuff. So it looks like Marvel looks like they're trying to get ahead of DC in regards to this. So Keith, because you put this story up, let's see what you've got to say.
I'm kind of excited about it if it's true, because I think we all quite liked the animation Into the Spider-Verse. That was good. And if it is true, because it's kind of been rumored for a few weeks that Tobey Maguire might be donning the suit again. And then it was in the last couple of days rumored that Andrew Garfield is also in talks. And this would, the fact that, that Jamie Foxx apparently is confirmed for Spider-Man 3, that just makes it even more interesting and more likely. And I think you're right. I think they've seen what DC's doing. I mean, the fact that DC's landed Michael Keaton is big, and I think they've gone, let's do that. And it's no. I mean, it's no rumor that Sony's been trying to do Spider-Verse live action movies for a while. So I think it sounds cool. I'm up for this. I'd like to see Tobey Maguire back on screen. I liked Andrew Garfield. I know you didn't. I quite liked Andrew Garfield, especially as Spider-Man, rather than the Peter Parker bit. No, he was all right as Spider-Man. I think he was good.
I liked his Spidey.
I don't think the second movie was particularly good, but I thought he was okay. I thought Jamie Foxx was probably one of the weakest things about Spider-Man 2, so it's interesting that he's coming back. But, he could do a good Electro.
I think Jamie Foxx is a good actor. Just whether or not he can build on what he did last time, because it wasn't great, was it? But
yeah. Let's ask our guests and ask their opinion.
Honestly, I think Jamie Foxx is he's more comedic than anything, which would probably make it realize it's not really fit for Spider-Man. But he might work out.
That's a hot take, Ryan. I thought you were going down the road of with Spider-Man 2, a lot of criticism was that they had so many villains in that movie that it was how can you just focus on one and build them out? That was the biggest thing that Marvel had to correct when going down the road after Guardians of the Galaxy, right? Because they said the main villain they had in that, it just seemed oh, here's a bad guy. You're not supposed to like them. And then you saw him bringing in, like when they brought in for the second Spider-Man in the Marvel universe, when they had Doc Ock, like you actually brought in Jake Gyllenhaal because you want to bring in some depth to the villains. I think Jamie Foxx didn't get a lot of the love he should have gotten, and I think this is a good chance to redeem that, because it wasn't. I don't think it was him. I think it was just the poor writing in Spider-Man 2 in Andrew Garfield's universe.
I think there's a lot of that.
Was it Robert Orsi, Keith, who wrote Spider-Man 2?
It might have been, but it was also a lot of. There was a lot of studio interference because they wanted to do the Sinister Six, didn't they? And then because there was a famous deleted scene where you see Venom, and they kind of cut that from the end, but they were trying to do Sinister Six, and that was what the whole sort of cut scene was at the end of Spider-Man 2 was about. But I do agree that I think Jamie Foxx could be good as Electro, but he wasn't given that chance in Spider-Man 2.
Yeah,
so it could be interesting.
Well, we know he's a good actor.
We've had
sure.
Yeah.
So it's got to be down to direction and story.
Yeah. I agree with that. I think, like what Ryan said, if you lean on like his actual talents because he's comedic, and you just lean on his personality, but bring that into the Marvel universe, I think that would be very beneficial. I think that's where it would work.
Spider-Man is not a thing to take seriously, really, is it? Spider-Man has these quips and quick-witted retorts, doesn't he? So it's meant to be fairly funny. It's meant to be fun.
Okay, I just had to Google because I was wondering who wrote it, and I knew Robert Orsi had something to do with it, but it's also an Alex Klutzman fucking debacle, and that probably explains why it was such a waste. Yes, it was Klutzman and Orsi who wrote that.
I had no idea that
explains
that
everything.
explains a lot.
Now, Andrew Garfield, you are forgiven temporarily.
Yeah.
I think he could have done all right, Andrew Garfield, but he was told to have a skateboard and be cool.
Yes.
He's not meant to be as Peter Parker, is he?
No,
He's
Peter
meant to be
Parker.
a geeky nerd and picked on and all that stuff, not the cool kid at school who could already look after himself. He's not meant to be that person, and they made him that person. I don't think it's not Andrew Garfield's fault. He did a decent enough job.
It's the how they're going to get this stuff all pushed into the Marvel universe, because they've got the Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which I couldn't remember right at the beginning. And having that kind of all that stuff pushed in together is going to be a bit weird, especially when you see Tobey Maguire as aging Spider-Man. How old is he? 40, 45?
40 years young.
Did they not? Yeah. They kind of did an older Peter Parker Into the Spider-Verse, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that worked. That did work. So that might be what we're going to see. We're going to just see a different Peter Parker at a different age. And it's been done before, and I think it could work. Maguire, he could put it off. It might be. He might not be, but I think he might.
He can't pull it off. It's just how they're going to fit it in, like as a storyline structure, and because you'll have like the Spider-Man ranking, yeah. And I always describe the Marvel Spider-Man as not Spider-Man, as a Spider-Boy, because he's not Spider-Man. If you compare him to the character, say in the PS4 game, he's probably the best version of Spider-Man that I've seen in any kind of media outside of comic. He's not. He doesn't come across like Spider-Man. He hasn't got that. He doesn't have that weight behind him. He doesn't have that kind of responsibility angle. He's struggling a bit angle. But they managed to pulled that off in the game, but not so much in the films.
In the game,
yeah.
Sorry, I was just thinking in the game, isn't he meant to be in his 20s, 24 or something like that? He's meant to be being Spider-Man for quite a few years by then.
In next gen, like they made him. Did you see the whole debacle about how people got upset that they made him look younger?
We've got that for later.
That might be something we'll talk about later.
We'll talk about that later.
That's foreshadowing. That didn't happen. Ryan, why would you say that?
But I will say, that you're worried about Peter Parker, but or Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker, but Into the Spider-Verse, they did kind of pull off Spider-Pork, convincingly so.
That's a cartoon. It had that whole animation had no preset feel for what was going on, where the Marvel Universe is continuously this preset
True.
feel for everything that's going on. So that's kind of my worry in regards to that. Right, we've got anything other we want to add to this before we move on to our next story?
Not for me.
No.
It'll be interesting to see what they do, and if they do go Spider-Verse,
Okay,
real life actors. That'd be cool.
all right. So we've got Jurassic World Domination, and we know that they stopped, they started, and now they've put out photos of new locations. So there's like two kind of clear locations from the photos they put out. They put out what looks like the museum interior for the visitor center and some snow-covered mountains. So people are now speculating: are we going to get other ancient extinct creatures like woolly mammoths and saber-toothed tigers and stuff turn up in Jurassic World? Because whatever his name was, he Dr. Wu?
Wu.
Yeah.
Is it Dr.
Wu.
Wu? Okay,
Henry Wu.
Henry Wu. It sounds
Henry
a bit.
Wu.
It sounds a bit lazy writing in my book. But yeah, we've got all these other kind of cool things coming through on it. So, Keith, you're the one who's big into Jurassic World.
I
How
liked the first one. I didn't like the second one. The little skit that he released on YouTube last year, where they were up in the mountains and they were all in these camper vans, and the camper vans got raided by I think they were the T-Rexes. That kind of was cool. But I don't know, because as I said, I liked Jurassic World, but I didn't like the second one. I thought the second one was just a cash-in that didn't really. It was just a bit like The Lost World and the ending of The Lost World, which was another sort of cash-in. I liked Jurassic World 3 more Jurassic Part 3 because it included scenes from the first book, and I'm a big fan of the original book. I don't know. I haven't seen.
For me, the first one was good. It was kind of a redo of Jurassic Park, and that's okay. We can have a redo of Jurassic Park. It's something that people enjoy. But the second one, there was like lots of potential in there because it's like kind of they're now crossbreeding dinosaurs, and there was always rumors that they were going to like do like human dinosaur hybrid things, and there was all these images of like kind of creepy shit going on in regards to their clonings and stuff like that. And I'm hoping that this might go down that route. And if Dr. Wu is out there doing dodgy things, are they going to move on to like human experimentation? Are they going to give us something a bit more meaty to get our teeth into, so we can say, oh, that's a way it wasn't expecting, other than Park goes crazy like Westworld sort of thing.
At the end of the second one, we know that the granddaughter was actually a clone of his daughter. I'm talking about kind of a half man, half dinosaur thing.
You're talking about crossbreeding them.
Yeah, well, we're not crossbreeding them.
Well, yeah, but
messy,
yeah.
But
you're talking about like cross infusing.
Yeah. I'm talking about kind of merging it. So you're like kind of weird because it kind of goes down like the superhero route with like kind of Spider-Man with spider DNA and stuff in, but Raptor Man with half man, half raptor.
Like he's really hungry for some reason. I don't know why he's chasing cats down the street.
Raptor Man. He can't, his arms are attached. He can't fight.
Yeah. I like Jurassic Park films. I'm a big fan of them. I didn't mind the first it's not first rewrite, but Jurassic World. I didn't mind that. The kids loved it. And I'm not so sure if I quite like the second one. Yeah, it was a bit samey, really. Interested to see what they're going to do with this Dominion. I hope they do something a little bit more than the last one. I like Chris Pratt. He was really good in it, though. Taming the Raptors with Blue.
I always found that mad.
Raptors. Yeah, it's a bit mad, but
it kind of now reminds me of like he'd be like the equivalent of the Tiger King, but with dinosaurs.
Oh my gosh!
Could you imagine that? To just retell the story. The Dinosaur King.
That's actually a very good comparison. I'm upset how clear of a picture I have in my head of that.
Sorry.
Well, bearing in mind that raptors are now supposedly on the mainland, can you imagine if they threw in there some kind of mullet-toting hick
Oh,
that's got a load of fucking raptors as a little sort of nod. If I was what's his face, I would do that. I'd just have some character that randomly in there for a few seconds as just a little nod.
I think it would be
How
a
many-
missed
how many-
opportunity.
Like, how
You'll
many
be the
views did
Baskin
that
as
series
well.
get? How many views did Tiger King get that he can just wrap those people in?
Oh my god, that would be absolutely crazy.
Well, you're gonna have to get one out of prison, so
Yeah.
Joe ain't coming out of prison anytime soon.
No. All right, let's move on to our next one. And if Keith would have looked at the story notes, this would have gone in a lot better, because with Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, not only are we looking at a Spider-Verse, we're now looking at alternate versions of Tony Stark, and it's ironic because Tom Cruise, John King. I don't know who fucking John King is. But Tom Cruise was originally eyed for the role of Tony Stark, and now they're looking at putting him in the role of Tony Stark, but in like a different universe and have a different costume and all the kind of cool bits that go with that. And it comes back to that kind of showing the alternate worlds and how things kind of get on bits, and it's I do find it interesting to think what could be or could have been in regards to things, especially when it comes to like castings and stuff for films, and how you would have had a certain actor play another part, because you have those films that you watch and an actor plays that part and they're definitively that part and you couldn't change it, but there's a chance that Tom Cruise would play Tony Stark, and you look at it going, well, actually he could have pulled it off, as well as Robert Downey Jr. My brain's just gone to mush.
He could.
Just to be fair to Tom Cruise, it wouldn't matter that he's so short, because when you're in the suit, it gives you that height anyway. So it wouldn't matter from that perspective. He could play that Playboy bit as well, couldn't he?
See, the thing with Tom Cruise, I'd expect him to actually wear the suit and then they'd attach him to wires and spin him around outside for real, because of the crazy shit he does anyway. I'm just going to stick myself to the side of this aircraft and let them take off.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
When he is going into space now, isn't he? He is actually going to space to film a movie. That's no bullshit. He apparently is doing it.
Right now, is he being strapped to the rocket or is he inside the capsule? Is the next question.
Well, that's a fucking good question.
That would be next level. I'm not gonna lie, that would be. I'd pay for that.
I'd pay to see that. He strapped himself to the side of a rocket.
Dressed as Iron Man.
The last film that he ever did.
Hey, you got to go out somehow on your own terms, or strapped to the rocket. I don't know.
Yeah, it's one. It'd be interesting to see him as Tony Stark, and two, he probably would have demanded to do some mad shit. I could imagine he would have.
I would love that. Like, this is a hot take. I would love that if in this case that he played kind of like an evil Tony Stark, not evil as in far as he comes out and it's just like, oh yeah, this guy's a bad guy, but basically kind of like a morally corrupt Tony Stark. And that would be a way to see Tony in a different light, kind of like, hey man, he went in a different road, right? Like, without, like, instead of him going through this traumatic event in the cave and, coming out on the other side a changed person, instead, he came across this technology and created the suit of armor based on just money. And that's what he uses it for. He leverages money, and that's his greed is his power. I would love to see that. I would love it. Because he's not going to be there forever, right? This is some kind of like short role. So I would love to see that.
That would be interesting if you did do like a corrupt Tony Stark, because you could put him down the anti-hero route, where he's a bit like the Punisher, and literally everybody he punches dies.
God. Yeah.
Just imagine, like, punches through them or something. Yeah. So every time you've seen Iron Man punch someone in Marvel films, you think they're fine, but no. When Tom Cruise does it as Iron Man, they're all dead.
Yeah.
So he's kind of a bit psychopathic in those terms, and I could kind of see that. But getting corrupt by money, maybe getting corrupt by the power of like just having the suit and no one being able to stop him.
True. Kind of like the idea of like Army Hammer's character in Iron Man 3. Like, if he, I'm sorry, that was Iron Man 2. If like he was able to actually create a successful suit and was able to rival Iron Man, like, what would that look like?
Yeah. No, that would be good. That would be an interesting take. That would be good to see. It would be actually mad to see if actually Stephen Strange goes into all these universes and every version of every kind of superhero that's slightly different is corrupt and evil in a way. So he's got an obstacle to overcome in each kind of jump that he does.
Yeah.
This
Bit more of a story.
whole thing about the multiverse is that because it's also there's a rumor going around that Downey Jr. is coming back to reprise the role in some form or another. A lot of people have speculated that it was the multiverse. And having different actors playing again. This all comes from what's its face last year, isn't it? The CW's thing, because those, whilst the shows are not doing as well, the videos on YouTube got lots of plays when they were showing the alternative sort of people. I mean, even when what's his face's Flash turned up, that got a shit ton of views.
Ezra, I'll punch a strange lady in Iceland, Miller. Yeah.
Yeah.
God, what was he thinking?
Oh,
it would have been better if he let her beat him up. They would have come off better. And she was pregnant.
But he did go to a premiere dressed as a Dalek. Well, I don't think his intention was that he wanted to look like a Dalek, but he did look like a Dalek.
I think when it comes to this Iron Man thing, I think it's going to be interesting either way. If they get Tom Cruise to do it, just to see what it would have been like. I'm kind of with the idea of making him evil.
Yeah.
I kind of like that idea. I do like the idea of just Stephen Strange going to each universe and he thinks there's a hero that's going to help him, and they're all pretty fucking evil.
I think there's two requirements. He has to be evil, and you have to have a running scene where he's running away from something. Those are the two requirements. I will not watch it unless those two requirements are met.
And if he's strapped to a rocket.
Yeah, I'm sorry. There's three.
And when he's out of a suit, you're not allowed to show actually how short he is.
Oh, God.
I think that's one of his main requirements.
I actually saying that in the last 5 years, he's definitely embraced him being a short ass, which I appreciate.
I think so. I appreciate that as a short ass myself. I do appreciate that.
All right, let's move on to our next one, which is Indiana Jones and the quest for making another bloody movie. The Crystal Skull was enough, guys. We're done. Recast it. Get Chris Pratt. Get anyone. Yeah. Apparently, the writer has walked out. So, screenwriter David Cope is known for doing Jurassic Park, Mission Impossible, Spider-Man, Indiana Jones, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Oops. Has recently had an update on why he's left Indiana Jones for the second time. Who here has walked out on a job twice? I don't think anyone has. If you
didn't know that, I didn't know that was possible.
Yeah. Well, it might be. Oh, he got the job on these pretenses, and then they've gone back on those, and you've gone, oh, do you know what? Right, no, you're not. And then they realised, oh, actually, we need him. We'll promise those things again. Say it will be different this time, I promise. And then he goes back, and it's exactly the same. He's gone, do you know what? That's it. I'm not.
Nige, mate. It's a job, not an ex-girlfriend.
I know. I know. You promised too much.
Okay, that's normal.
Yeah.
That's it is odd. Apparently, Steven Spielberg gave up on it ages ago, and I think we reported on that. It was supposed to go in production 2019 and being filmed. I think it's supposed to be filmed here in the UK at Shepperton or Pinewood. It may even been lying around the corner from himself. So yeah, it's an odd one, because when it comes to Indiana Jones, I think they need to. This is one franchise I think they probably would benefit from a reboot, just because Harrison Ford is so fucking old, and literally it could fall out of his trailer and break something, and that's it.
Well, no, or constantly crashing his plane, which he likes to do.
He loves to do
third
that.
time now.
Third time. Right, hang on a second. I heard about the golf course one. Yeah. Where I think he just wanted to ruin someone's golf game.
Then he landed on the wrong one way, and then he took off and nearly hit a plane, or was landing when another plane was landing. There was a story last year or this year. There's been one like every year. There was another one where he didn't see it, and he sounded a bit drunk or stoned when you hear him on the sort of intercom radio messages and. Air traffic control messages, and they were shouting at him, and he was just like, "Oh, sorry." It's like the third time. So yeah, he might have actually, crashed his plane and not survived it by the time they actually get this film into production. I mean, they've been talking about Indiana Jones 5 for the last 10 bloody years, and they still haven't got it made. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think Star Wars has helped, and I think Disney and a lot of other people going, ooh, like, you know, and I don't think Star Wars has helped.
No, Star Wars has not helped. Everything coming out of Lucas, because that's the only thing they focused on coming out of Lucasfilm when they could have. There's loads of other stuff that Lucasfilm had, and one of them being Star Wars. It's funny that he keeps crashing his plane. That makes me laugh. Especially when he played a character who was supposed to be a supreme pilot in one of the most renowned films ever. But in real life, into golf course.
I think it's funny because you worry about like old people on the road, but now they've evolved to the point where they're in the skies, and that's absolutely terrifying.
They're coming at you from the ground and above.
Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's fucking Harrison Ford.
Who keeps giving him these planes?
Imagine you can be that rich that you can just crash the plane. He probably crashed the plane and went, fuck it, I'll buy a new one.
When he took lessons, he went, "No, I don't need to know how to land a plane. It's fine. I'll just crash it, buy a new one. It's fine."
See, I just remember like 6 years ago, he was getting shit because what he'd do is he'd fly from whatever state he lived in all the way up to California to have a burger and then fly back, because that's how he wanted to spend his Sundays. And I was like, if I could do that, I would do that. But now it's a case of which golf course are you plowing into on route?
The latest one was that he crossed the runway as a plane was coming into land. Now I remember it, and you just suddenly hear this pilot going. This pilot was bringing in a passenger plane. Suddenly, he was like swearing down the bloody intercom, and then somebody said, "Oh, sorry, that was Harrison Ford or something," and like the pilot swears again. But yeah, he went across the runway, and the plane literally fucking missed him by inches.
Oh my god!
Good lord!
And we're not talking a tiny little aircraft. We're talking fucking full-on passenger plane carrying hundreds of passengers, kind of thing.
He should have his pilots
on the news.
It's a gigantic fireball on the runway. It's like, who could have done this? Don't worry, it was just Harrison Ford. Oh, okay, that's fine.
Oh, it explains everything.
Yeah, that's fine. No charges have been brought.
What I'd like to say about this Indiana Jones, though, I thought, in the interest of continuity, why not have Shia LaBeouf continue the legacy from the previous film? Which was crap.
Hang on, no, let him finish.
Just for continuity. Just for continuity, because he did loads of stuff with Harrison Ford in the previous film. He knows what's the crack. And so just moving in, but then meet Chris Pratt during the film as a handover period.
You know about Shia LaBeouf in the last few years, don't you?
I think
that he makes batshit crazy look sane.
You know?
I think what they should do is they should get a CGI Shia LaBeouf, or whatever his name is, to climb into a fridge, and then detonate it, and then they open the fridge and he's clearly dead. And just turn around and goes, well, we're not doing that again, and then start a whole fresh.
Yeah, I think that would be bold, and I'm on board with it.
Best opening ever.
I would love that.
It's. I think that the Harrison Ford Indiana Jones is done. Considering he probably need a fucking Zimmer frame or a walking stick or something, unless it's Indiana Jones and the 100 plane crashes, and it's literally him crashing period accurate aircraft as Indiana Jones. I think that's the only way they could make it up to me.
I'd like to make a comment on like what Keith mentioned about like how Star Wars and how it kind of like left a bad taste because they kind of just like milked a cow that had no more milk to give. And I think that he's correct, because that set up a precedence for one, people got exhausted of Star Wars. And two, they should have done it to where they worked with the entire IP, including Indiana Jones. And now I think they're in a position where, you got to come off with your next movie, if you're doing Indiana Jones, as a hit. You can't screw up like you did and make people upset with the newer sequel versions of Star Wars. And I think that's a lot of pressure that they're doing. And I think that's a lot of probably what's going on behind the scenes, is that they're trying to put all this pressure on it to not repeat their same mistakes. And that's kind of like what's detrimental, where if they just planned it out better, you wouldn't be running into this.
If they just planned it. I think even on the back of a napkin.
They just planned. There's no better. It's just if they just planned it.
That's it. That would make things instantly better. There's an old expression, fail to plan to fail, and failed to plan, so they failed. It's man, it winds me up in two senses. It winds me up in a creative sense by watching people try to be creative and fail miserably, and then it winds me up in a business sense because in my work, you have to do lots of planning in order to get things done, and it's like kind of. This would have just been solved with planning. I'm sorry, just some planning, anything. But I think there was one writer who said, "Look, I need 18 months. I'll put together all 3 scripts. They'll have continuity, everything, and we can put it into production. It'll be cool." And they went, "No, we need it by Christmas." And they went,
The problem with it is it's become Disney Star Wars, and I think a lot of people are going, "Oh, this is going to be Disney Indiana Jones," and that's not when it comes to these IPs, that is not seen as a good thing. I think something like The Mandalorian is slightly forgiven because at least it feels, looks, and smells like Star Wars, and it is done by Dave Filoni, who hasn't had the best of years with his wokeness this year, but he has, the last series of the Clone Wars was awesome, and it was good. So he's kind of seen as doing good Star Wars, so gets away with it. But Star Wars on film, Disney are going to have to do something incredible to bring that back, and I think Indiana Jones has just been tarnished by that. I do.
I think if they want to get Lucasfilm back, I think if they do a good Indiana Jones movie, they can win people over. But I would have that 2 years because it's a case of we fucked up Star Wars, so we're not touching that. So we're gonna try not to fuck up Indiana Jones.
But you've got the extra added thing of the Crystal Skull, which a lot of people did not like. So they, in the eyes of a lot of these fans, they've already fucked up Indiana Jones. And that combined with Star Wars, I don't think it's going to happen. And I think the fact that it's a combination of things. I think the current beer bug has not helped. The fact that Disney's losing all this fucking money all of a sudden, so they're not prepared to make the risks that they once did. The parks, no matter which way they try and spin it, the Star Wars park has not performed like it was meant to. I can't see it happening.
I was at Disney for the opening of the park, but we were leaving on that day, and we had our friends who went there, and they queued up from 5 a.m. to get in. Right, so there was a husband and wife and 2 children. So the husband took the girl because she was massively into Star Wars there, and the wife and the little boy stayed back. And then the funny thing is, by 2 o'clock, the wife and the boy just strolled straight in to Galaxy's Edge. No waiting to piss the husband off. So it was a really weird one.
That's messed up. I'm sitting here excited that they're doing that, and I've heard rumors about that too, but I'm sitting here wow, what are you doing wrong? And that's the thing, right? Is that you have everybody that was excited prior to when the sequels came out, and you're you see what happened with it, and then you have a newer generation that's watching it. And I just feel like it just doesn't have that same impact, and that's what we're seeing. It's exactly that. People are more amped about Marvel and superheroes than they are about Star Wars and lightsabers. And I think that's something that obviously can change. I think Mandalorian is a step in the right direction. And especially a lot of changes that they're making, because I know with Kathleen Kennedy, they're trying to make some adjustments on that end as far as who's heading Star Wars moving forward. But I would love to see it. As a kid that grew up, obviously, with the original trilogy, I would love to see it succeed. I am not regretful that Disney purchased Star Wars. I'm regretful that they did it in the way that they did, and also gave their gaming IP to EA, because it's EA. It's in the game. Yeah, it sure is. It's microtransactions. That's what it is.
Microtransactions in the game.
Yeah. Gosh, but no, I hope for the best. I'm optimistic. I am optimistic with a hint of pessimism underneath that's just bubbling to come out.
I like your take. I like your take on it. And I was very much I had a very similar thing even after The Force Awakens came out, and Gaff will tell you I was always trying to be optimistic about it. I was always trying to, because I'm a massive Star Wars fan. I mean, and I still am.
Yes,
and I still, you know, the Empire, you know, the Empire Strikes Back was on the other day on the TV, and I sat there and watched it again and loved it, and a massive smile on my face. And my wife is looking at me going, "Why do you love Star Wars so much?" She's like, "My parents didn't get babysitters. They got a VCR and just stuck me in front of that, and I'd shut up for 2 hours." You know, the first present I remember getting for Christmas was the Millennium Falcon. I mean, I've been around Star Wars all my life, but I can't forgive The Last Jedi. I can't forgive it. It really did a number on me. And then Ryan Johnson being like he was in the press afterwards and insulting people because we dared not to like his movie. But The Mandalorian, I know Gareth describes it as spectacularly average. I like The Mandalorian because at least it restores some of my faith that they can do good Star Wars. But then you get this game, which we'll talk about in a minute, which is kind of, it's like, and that is partly because it's EA.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just want to point out that you've triggered Keith. He's now going to go into a
I
Star
noticed.
Wars.
I noticed. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Keith. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Don't worry. That's fine. I am triggered on this. I am triggered on the subject of Star Wars.
I just wanted to contribute. I didn't want to cause anger.
No, I agree with you. I like your take. I do. I try to remain optimistic, but then I think of The Last Jedi and it's
you think I thought The Force Awakens was no, like when you have a band and then they've had like a 4-album deal and then the 5th album comes out and you're really excited for the 5th album, but it turns out it's just a collection of the greatest hits rather than anything new. Yeah. That's what The Force Awakens was to me, and that was the bit when I was like, I'll have to wait for the next one to judge it to see if it's any good. So I held off on my judgment for The Force Awakens until Last Jedi came out, and then I went, nope, it's definitely shit.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Yep, no, I agree with you.
So the thing is, if you like it, it's probably because you liked all the previous hits for the band. Just using the band thing as an example, and now you're setting me off. Right. Anyway, let's jump. We all get set off by separate things. One of mine is not wearing spacesuits in space films. It drives me crazy. Keith knows about this one.
We went to see Guardians of the Galaxy, and I'm sitting there going, that was the most awesome movie ever. 5 stars, brilliant. Guardians of the Galaxy is amazing. He's sitting there with his fan going, fucking didn't put his helmet on his face. Fucking didn't.
My pet peeve, Keith, it's my pet peeve. Ever since XL Fireball 5, where Jerry Anderson, that was shown on Saturday morning, when they used to go out in space without freaking spacesuits, that's when it got on my wick. Stingray did it, but no, talking about kids' cartoons. Anyway, let's move on to another franchise which is being slowly destroyed, and that's the James Bond one. No Time to Die has been delayed until April 2021. Oh dear. Now it's been moved, and it's all down to the pandemic and how things are done at cinema. I think that Tenet was probably the best example of something that went on at the cinema that it would have been huge. And I know that there was problems because I saw it on, I think it was the 2 days in, and I went to the cinema and there was nobody there. So it was odd. So they look like they're what you calling it? They're holding off until they can have a cinema audience so they can make money. It's a bit of a marketing / kind of, we want to get the cash from this. So I can completely understand it from their perspective. But from my perspective, I want to go and watch James Bond. I just want to watch something at the cinema. I was worried that it's going to be crap, but I don't even have to worry about that now because I'm not going to see it this year.
The thing that I think people have got so annoyed was it was kind of obvious that they were going to delay it. It's the fact that they effectively made the decision at the last minute. So the video and all the trailers got released in the last couple of weeks. That breathy bird that's done the song for the thing, her video was released last Friday, and then they announced the delay on the Sunday, wasn't it? No. or was
It was-
the delay start?
Oh,
Anyway,
it
it was a
was
couple of
something
days after that they released the video for this, and it's pissed off the record label because they were like, "Well, why didn't you inform us?" It seems like a very last minute decision that was kind of obvious anyway, if that makes any sense.
I bet a lot of people would have just said, "All right, just release it digitally, and we'll pay the 25 quid and watch it in our own homes." They'd make money back that way. Maybe not enough, but they make some.
James Bond is another one of these that has to be seen in the cinema, in my opinion.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I agree.
I am worried that James Bond is going to be emasculated in this film. I'm worried that at the end of the film, the bad guy's just going to have his bollocks on a fucking silver platter handed over by the Leona Lynch character. I'm hoping she's going to be maybe like if she's a double agent or a triple agent, where you look at her and you go, "Oh, I'm not too sure she's on our side," and then it appears to be on the other side, and then goes back to our side towards the end. She'll be fine as a character as long as she has something interesting. But outside that, I'm just worried that she's there to show up James Bond. That's my concern.
The only thing I'll say on this, right, is that it is being written. You know, this movie is pretty much now being written by Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Now, there's a lot of things around her, and we're not going to get into the politics side of that. But she did write the first season of Killing Eve, and the first season of Killing Eve, purely from a sort of spy story point of view, was pretty good. And she did have lots of double agents and things like that. So this theory that Shauna Lynch's character might be a double or triple agent wouldn't be entirely out of the realms of impossibility. You all know I've banged on this a lot about my opinions of Daniel Craig, but story-wise, it might be good. Might be being the operative word.
Yeah, might be good. Yeah, I'm just worried because Daniel Craig is such a miserable bastard. He's the only person in the world who doesn't want to be James Bond, and it shows every time he has an interview or talks about him. He could just shut up and not say anything, yeah, and just claim a paycheck. But no, he has to fucking moan like some old woman. And it is frustrating because there's so many actors that want to play it. You've got bloody Harry Styles from what was that horrible fucking boy band that he was in? Can you remember? No, because we weren't into boy bands.
What you mean, One Direction?
Yeah.
What is it? One Direction?
Oh, One Direction.
So you could have said
boy band. You've shown your hand there, mate.
I have a sister. I don't have a sister. I don't have a sister.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
Ryan, back me up here.
I mean, it is definitely a younger generation band, but we all know nobody liked Harry.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that gets me is every time you see him interviewed, as you said, and he's moaning, sitting there with a watch that's worth more than my house that he's been given for free. That's what always pisses me off. It's like you have got literally the watch he had on the other day, more than my house. More than my house.
I don't know. I think I agree though, because the thing is that it's really hard to get amped about a movie if the main character's sitting there like, yeah, no, it was like, all right, I guess. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. Like if he's not excited about it, I'm not gonna be excited about it. So yeah. I mean, I agree. I think there's a lot of like, I know there was some speculation going into this movie that it was a marketing technique to say like Daniel Craig he was saying like, oh, I hate being James Bond, I'll never do it. And then he comes back and does it again. And it's kind of like, maybe it was a good marketing technique. I don't think it's on the realm of like Sonic, where people are like, oh, they made it so horrible in the trailer to get attention and then change it. But I think it's just, I agree. I think it's just him, and they're dealing with like this guy who's just very grumpy, and I don't know. It's hard to get excited about something where you got the main character that's just like meh.
Yeah,
it's gonna make me meh.
Yeah, it's that's one thing that drives me, because you're supposed to be part of your job as an actor is to help with marketing and sell it. Yeah, because you know that the actors, they feign enthusiasm for stuff. Yeah, there's certain actors, like especially theatre actors, will become whatever thing they're playing, but the film actors and TV actors just tend to feign the shit that they're doing. unless it's really bad. And I'm just like, kind of, you are a miserable old bastard. You know what a good idea? You know what you should be doing? You should be taking flying lessons with Harrison Ford.
Oh god.
That'll liven him up.
It's like, Daniel, we're gonna go fly to the premiere. We got you a private jet. We got you a private jet. Don't worry who's flying it. Doesn't matter.
Yes, I think that would be hilarious, and they could just moan to each other as they plow into the ground for the umpteenth time.
I don't moan to it. No, never mind. I'm really no.
Oh
my God.
I think the 50 million quid that they paid him kind of helped him coming back for this movie. I think that was kind of a 50 million is not bad earning for.
Shoot. My mom offered me 50 million quid to eat my Brussels sprouts when I was a kid. You better believe I would devour them. I would.
It's I don't know. I would have preferred if it had like a tweet where a big like dumper truck full of cash just poured it onto his front lawn and he went, "Guess I'm doing James Bond." That would be enthusiastic.
Yeah, absolutely. I would do it.
I think though he has, because there hasn't been that many interviews with him, but he's at the moment been a hell of a lot more toned down about it and keeping his mouth shut. But again, I think keep your mouth shut. Here's 50 million quid. Yeah, all right, fine.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to our next story.
Just a quick one, Gaff, before we move on. Just a quick hello to King Solomon again. Thanks for joining us.
Mate.
And
Kalo,
we've got somebody else, Kel Rilo.
Yes.
Hello, if you're still here.
Yes.
Joining us.
Hello. Okay, so this is one that makes me really nostalgic, and that's the only reason I put it in there is because, do you remember Mask, Keith?
Yes, I had the car, the flying.
You had the car.
As a kid.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
I didn't have any Mask toys, but I used to go around with my friends, and he had the car, the volcano-based thing, and the truck. And the helicopter that would change into a jet. It was bloody awesome, and it cheers me up. I remember it. They're talking about what do you call it? Having like their cinematic crossover, like you've got with Marvel and all these other multiverse things, where they're going to have Mask appear alongside G.I. Joe and Transformers. As a child, that would have just made me collapse. Knowing that would be happening, because I wasn't big into G.I. Joe, but Mask and Transformers was really big into as kids. Okay, the Transformers movies now are a bit suspect, but this would reinvite. I would watch this. I'm sorry, I'm a sad bastard, and I would watch this.
Mask. I mean, they've been talking about a Mask film for a while now, and I'll admit that the nostalgia in me was like, ooh, because I remember this as a kid. It was I think it was one of the first cartoons I kind of watched, and I remember the car. The car was like my favorite toy until the Millennium Falcon came along. I remember the red car, and you pressed the button, and the doors came up, and you flew it around the room, and it was awesome.
Any of my gold wing is it called gold wing cars with the wings, the things that flip up like the DeLorean?
Yeah,
I wish to just pretend that they were aircraft. That wouldn't fly. Not full stop. But as a kid, in your head, that shit would fly. The other ones were, I think it was Centurions. They used to have the plug-in bits.
Yeah.
And that looked so. This is like a kid thing. It'd probably be crap. Truth is, but. I'll give it a go. It came from the rumor came from a guy called Mikey Sutton at Geekosity magazine and explained why G.I. Joe and Transformers won't be the only 80s property being developed for live action stuff. September the 5th, according to him, the source is that Mask is also being discussed in a live action debut movie, and hopefully maybe we'll get a whole kind of mash up thing with Transformers, and it'd be cool to see the Mask vehicles go up against them whilst G.I. Joe and shit are fighting. That's my toy box there, just throwing shit at each other. Just need monster in your pockets thrown in while we're at
it. I think my only exposure to Mask, thinking about it, because I was like, that sounds familiar, and it was Adult Swim, like seeing those short sketches. I don't know if y'all seen those. That was literally my only exposure to it. Yeah. So when y'all said that, I was like, why does that sound familiar? Just literally Googled it, and the sketch was there. I was like, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's as I said, it sounds like the producers have just got the 80s toys and just thrown them onto the carpet floor and went, we don't own the rights to Spider-Man, gone. We got Transformers, Mask, and then maybe they'll do Centurions along the thing. But it's gonna be. I'm looking forward to it because there's F all when it comes to movies at the moment, and nothing really kind of exciting or anything coming up that isn't tainted by J.J. Abrams' greasy, grubby mitts and his terrible storytelling.
Or Kurtzman.
No, he's just the man made of shit ideas. All right, okay.
Mask isn't something I'm familiar with.
Yeah, well, yeah, you listen to us moan about him. All right, so let's move on to the. Sorry, have you guys got anything else to say before I move on to the next section?
Nah, I'm not really. The Transformers is just a little weird to me, where you're trying to get 3 different sections in one, but it's not much. It's not much. Like, you hear more Transformers than G.I. Joe.
Yeah, I don't know. They didn't really plan out a set of Transformers films. They should have just done one like standalone film, and then after that, figured out what they could do.
The Bumblebee movie was good. The recent Bumblebee movie was good. Yeah,
Yeah,
I love Bumblebee.
Yeah,
that was good.
I
Wasn't
enjoyed
great,
it.
but was good. Okay, let's move
The
on.
bit
to
at the
TV
beginning. Go on. Sorry.
Let's move on to TV shows, Keith. I forgot to do that for films earlier. Oops. So
No comment.
Yeah, no comment. So we've got a rumor here in regards to Netflix and the Legend of Zelda. So we've got that Tom Hiddleston. I've turned him into bloody Hiddleston Holland all in one. Tom Holland is rumored to be playing Link in the Zelda film. Okay, that's interesting. We've heard that they've been looking at doing a Zelda film for a while, and I think when we had The Witcher last year, and The Witcher hit and was a hit on Netflix, they're now looking at games as properties because we've got the rumors that they're doing a Fallout show from the people who did Underworld. What was it called? Westworld.
Westworld.
Westworld and that. So this was cut from a YouTuber and kind of person, Grace Randolph. If you've ever seen her, she's the old lady who sits up in the tower. Goes, that Tom Holland's linked to playing the Zelda thing. So the first things first, it is Zelda as a TV series. What do you think?
I could watch it. The Witcher, after you guys forced me to go back and watch it, I actually did kind of enjoy it the second time. And that thing that Nige sent, the link that actually explained the freaking timeline, so I was managed to get my head around it a bit more. I was like, okay, now I get what's going on. I like Tom Holland. I think he's always comes across well in interviews, always enthusiastic. I think he could play Link. I think that could work. I'm a big fan of the Switch game. I could watch that. That would be something I would be interested in.
Oh, cool.
I think my question would be: will he have lines, or will his entire lines just be like, "Yeah, like
that's true. Or what was it? They did the cartoon in the 80s. Well, excuse me, princess.
oh
or something
gosh,
along those lines.
princess."
Yeah, because he was really kind of shirty in the in that 80s cartoon.
Sassy. He was a sassy girl.
Well, the new question is, along with the lines, is like, is he actually going to take? Are they going to take lines from the actual game and then put it into the show?
Yeah.
I mean, that can get a lot of nostalgia for a lot of people.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of bloody lines from Zelda now. Because
it's all text chat.
Yeah, no. It's just like because me and Nigel we've been streaming Zelda for a good while. We were streaming Link to the Past and Minish Cap, and I can't remember anything really apart from he does seem to indicate that he talks in the 2D ones. But the 3D ones, I think they left his voice out, so it had that kind of Gordon Freeman kind of aspect from Half-Life, where you kind of insert your own voice over the top.
I don't remember him ever saying anything.
Don't you?
No, he certainly doesn't. Certainly doesn't in Breath of the Wild. It is just and
Yeah,
but,
when he hits shit. That's it.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
his
no,
word.
that's it, yeah.
That's how he
And-
communicates.
and the horse.
He'll have to say something. The question is are they going to play him as a stoic and quiet, or are they going to play him as a gobby shite? I think they're going to go for gobby shite. He'll just be sitting there just spouting off every 5 minutes.
I mean, it is Netflix.
What if it's Tom Holland?
Sorry, go again.
Yeah, it's just Netflix. They're gonna have him talk a lot. It's almost positive because look at their previous things they put up on Netflix. It's like it's always trying to get some voice actor or some. It's always gonna be a line put in somewhere.
Yeah, I know what you mean. There were ones where it feels like they don't know how to edit. There's no one that sits there and says that sometimes you can communicate something with just a look with a good actor. They can just shoot a look at another actor and you go, oh, he's gonna stab him the moment he gets a chance. I kind of get where you're coming from. So we're gonna have Tom Holland as Link Gobby Shite. So okay, that's official. We've branded it. Let's put a stamp on that and stick that in the book for when it comes out.
I'm stealing that phrase.
Well, Gobby Shite.
Yeah, you're gonna hear. I'm gonna use it on our podcast, Ryan. The other team members aren't even ready.
It's gonna be me.
I'm gonna call him a gobby shite. I love that. I've never heard of it before.
Oh,
I think
It's quite old, that one.
yeah, Gobby Shite is quite old. It's okay. So let's move on to. I think that was all our TV news. I think.
No,
Cobra Kai. No. There is, but I pressed the wrong button. You could see down in the thingy. So we've got Cobra Kai. This TV series I enjoyed when it was out on YouTube, and it was bloody. What's this face here? Sorry. I enjoyed it when it came out on YouTube, and I watched it because I got YouTube Premium for a month or whatever without paying for it. And it was very entertaining. I enjoyed it, and it was great to watch the two characters, Johnny and Danny, fight in slightly childish ways in the series. And then the second series I enjoyed too. It was good. They seem to have written it in a way that no one's really a bad person. They just had situations that have caused them to be bad, and then they do stupid things, kind of like real life. But we're getting a third series, which will be airing in January 2021, which is fantastic. And then they've authorized a fourth season too. And I hope it stops at the fourth season, because I don't think it can go any further. I think that you need to have Johnny and Danny have a fight and then make up and be best of friends, because there's always these hints in here that they're going to be really good friends, which is fantastic. But, have you guys watched this?
Yeah. Loved it. I watched it all on YouTube. I have YouTube Premium, but I have the Thai subscription, which is considerably freaking cheaper than the UK subscription. And I loved Cobra Kai seasons 1 and 2. Really, really, really good. They managed to capture the essence of the original films. I was surprised when they released the trailer and said it was getting a season 4 already. I thought that was pretty sort of brave of Netflix. But then going on the numbers that they've had, Cobra Kai's done incredibly well on Netflix, so by all the rumors. Season 3's got Elizabeth Shue coming back, but the rumor is that they're going to bring Hilary Swank's character in season 4, because she was in the next Karate Kid, wasn't she?
Which
was
that's where that's where I kind of left off, where I was like, no.
Was that number 3?
But no, number 4 technically. It was the last one that Mr. Miyagi. They brought Mr. Miyagi back, but he wasn't in the original. They filmed it somewhere else.
I've got this in my head. It's Hilary Swank. It's probably not, is it?
It is. Yeah, that's what I said. I just said Hilary Swank was the next Karate Kid. She's rumored to be turning up as well. But no, I'm up for this. I enjoy Cobra Kai. It makes me all nostalgic. So yeah, I'm up for it.
I'm going to have to watch that on Netflix. I didn't realise it was on Netflix. I'm going to have to catch up.
Watch it. It's good. The 30-minute episodes, I think, so it doesn't have as much filler as you get for the 40-minute kind of episodes of things.
Yeah, cool. From what I heard, doesn't Daniel sort of Daniel and Johnny's their roles sort of flip, where Johnny's trying to do the right thing, but Daniel's a bit of a dick about it. And
They're both dicks. That's the great thing about
They're
it.
both-
Is they're dicks and they're both good guys.
okay,
That makes them interesting.
Yeah.
I like the fact that Daniel in the first season does a lot of dickish things, and Johnny's just a general dick, and he's trying to teach kids to be a bit tougher than they are. I found it really enjoyable. Did you guys watch it?
Nah, like I said before, I haven't watched too much of a Netflix, or I'm more of like a YouTube channel kind of person.
Okay.
That's fair.
But it's cool that came back, and I'm glad that it's getting a fourth series. But I hope that they wrap it up, because I don't want it overstaying its welcome. Because the other thing too is those kids are growing up. That's the other thing.
Fast.
They're growing up, and they're coming to like kind of the end of their school year, so you haven't got long to play around with it. Even though technically, I think it's only a couple of months difference between the first series and the second series. But you can see where they've kind of grown a little in between. Okay, so let's move on to gaming. Okay, we talked about it earlier with the what the are they doing? The Sony have decided to remaster the PS4 version of Spider-Man and change the fucking I don't know the base for the model for Spider-Man, and they've put this thing in. All right, I don't want to be rude to the person that this is not Peter Parker. Yeah, this is the guy who pushes the trolleys around Tesco's. All right, he's not. This is wrong. This is so fucking wrong on so many levels. Yeah?
It's almost like they tried to get Tom Holland's face right, but they got Tom Holland's face wrong.
I'll be honest with you. In the PS4 version of Spider-Man, they mixed they look like they mixed Tobey Maguire with Andrew Garfield, but now it looks like they've mixed Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, and Tom Holland all together and came up with this. The problem is when you keep mixing colours, they just go brown, and that's the same with faces. It's now turning into this weird amorphous putty thing. Yeah,
I don't understand why they've done it. Apparently, it was. I read somewhere that it was to fit the voice. What the hell does that mean?
I thought the previous one was fine.
Yeah,
the voice, they haven't changed the voice actor for PS5, so why not just keep the same model?
They had the guy's face that was based on was a guy called John Bobinac. I think I pronounced that horribly. And then I've switched it over to a guy called Ben Jordan. And I don't want to say originally, that's not remastering, that's vandalizing when it comes to doing this.
I think they're definitely throwing shade, because what sense does that make? Like, we need to make a face that fits a voice actor. Well, if that was the case, why did you even go with the initial face actor? Like, that makes zero sense. Like, there's something else going on. That makes zero sense. I don't get it.
Maybe it's a rights issue. Maybe they don't want to pay. Maybe there's a contractual thing in there where they have to pay the actor more if they remastered it, and that might be why they're being a bit funny with it, because they've not signed the contracts quite right. Yeah,
they got someone's image cheaper.
He's the extra value Peter Parker.
The budget Parker.
Yeah, that unbranded, brand X Peter Parker, because they can't afford to keep
own brand. Whenever you get an own brand of anything, it's cheaper.
If they would have, the thing is, if they'd have turned around and said, "You know what, we're going to use Tom Holland's face," I think we would have been a bit okay. We would have been okay with that. We go, okay, that kind of makes sense because you want to make it associated with that. They age him up a bit, and away you go.
Yeah, but they haven't, have they? It's not quite right.
You could be right on the money thing. This happens a lot in not just the gaming industry, everywhere. This happens where, for instance, it's like the movie The Martian, right? The reason that film was made was because of the book, but the book was launched on Audible, and that's where it became popular. That people downloaded the Audible. It was the Audible book that made The Martian so popular and got it out there that they then decided to make a movie. And the Audible book was written by narrated by this guy who did a really good job of it. And again, he got a lot of business off the back end of that. when it came to the 10-year or 15-year anniversary, Audible wanted to re-record it, and this guy, obviously now being popular, wanted a higher fee because that's what he gets paid. And Audible refused. And now I've got another guy who've read it and replaced the original one with this new one. You can't get the original one, and it's subpar. So, and it was all to do with money. And you could be onto something with this that it might be a contractual thing.
I would have forked out the money for Tom Holland and just have done with it. Everyone would have loved it. Everyone would have gone, yeah, that's fine.
I wouldn't have even minded just keeping how it was. But with that remaster, have you seen the side by side things with?
I watched the side by side comparisons on there, and I was apart from draw distance, everything close up looks roughly the same.
It does.
It's got a longer draw distance, and it seems that the other Spider-Man is faster on the PS5.
Yeah, a bit smoother maybe.
Yeah,
but when he's on a mirrored image, like a piece of glass, the reflection is far more detailed than on the PS4 version. It's not quite as, but that's really not very much difference.
Yeah.
No, Miles Morales looks better.
No, we're talking about the PS4, PS5 remastered version.
Yes, but I know what you're talking about. But Miles Morales is a follow-on from that game, and that looks.
We're talking about
much
lazy
better.
remasters, though. That's what.
Yes, I know. That's why I'm agreeing with what you're saying. Is that because I've seen comparison of somebody taking the remastered and comparing it with the Miles Morales shots and going, look at the difference. These are both PS5 titles, and the remastering one looks shit.
Yeah. Okay. It does. I think the new Spider-Man is going to be my first PS5 game. Because I think Cyberpunk was. I don't know if Cyberpunk's probably going to get delayed, which is
maybe it might still come out. I don't know yet. But when I pre-ordered my PS5, I got Miles Morales on the bundle, so I did enjoy it.
And an extra controller.
And an extra controller.
I accidentally ordered the extra controller and one with Miles Morales.
I thought, Jesus, this is steep. I thought it was only 49 quid.
And then somehow managed to get a pre-order through for an Xbox X Series 2. Oh my God. I just slipped and hit my head against the keyboard and boom, ordered.
Oh, don't know how that happened. Oh,
Mistakes
happen. Have you told you? Hang on, Gareth. Have you told your wife yet?
My wife knows about the Xbox and the thing, so I'm fine in that regards. My balls are still intact, so she took it well.
Just.
Biding their time.
It's biding their time.
It's noted.
It is a weird one. You guys played the Spider-Man on the PlayStation?
I have played the 4. The one thing that annoyed me, because I was always that completionist, which I always like to get the trophies and like kind of see like 100%. I hated the fact that they put the DLCs out one by one. And you had to get each one separately, and it delayed the 100%.
I delayed getting Spider-Man, and then I got Spider-Man and the DLCs, and I just did the whole lot in one go and enjoyed the crap out of myself. The thing is when you power him up to the point. You power him up and you get all the gadgets and stuff, and you're playing like a new game plus mode. You can play it on hard, and it's easy.
Yeah, that's the fun part of it.
Oh, dude, if you feel like you feel like a superhero, that's the bit that makes that game, I think.
This cheeky bugger, because we were all playing it around the same time, and he's going, "I'm playing it on the most difficult level. I'm so much better than you guys." And then about 3 weeks later, he goes, "Well, you don't have to, do it." And he tells me what fucking setup he had, and I go and play it on hard. And I'm shit at computer games. And I pissed through it on hard. It's like, you're not that good, are you, really?
I was good enough to figure it out, Keith.
Yeah.
I haven't got any hair to do that.
All that typing of how to be really good at Spider-Man into YouTube. Just fucking difficult that is.
I did my normal just button mash best I can. Die, try again.
It was really good. I
enjoyed it. It was really good. What my favorite bit about it was when you web slinging through the city, and you can change the angle so you can do different stuff as you're going through, and the music changes as you start web slinging. I did it. It's really good. It really captures the Spider-Man feel, I think. Looking forward to Miles Morales. Really am.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to our next one. This would make my son excited if he played Smash Brothers. But the Minecraft guys are coming to Smash Brothers. You're going to get Steve, Alex, one of the zombies, and the Enderman. This is weird because this is it's from Microsoft. And it's not, and when it comes to Smash Brothers, it's not that whatever is the Kingdom game that they keep putting characters in from that nobody cares about. So this is interesting, and it's a bit weird because everyone's like talking about how Microsoft might be buying Nintendo, and when they bought Bethesda, I realized something, and I should have brought it up in the podcast when we covered the buying of it. They were planning on buying TikTok, so the accountants had already set a portion of cash aside in their budget to buy TikTok, and then they bought Bethesda for a ridiculous sum. My problem was them not buying Bethesda; it was them buying Bethesda for that much because they're not worth that much. So
They bought a parent company for that much, which includes Bethesda, I think.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, ZeniMax.
ZeniMax.
Yes, ZeniMax. So you got Steve and all that like in there. So for kids and stuff, it's gonna be pretty cool to be able to play that, and it's gonna be okay. And on another note, I think it's there's not much to say on that one. I want to move on to the reviews because I'm desperate to talk about Star Wars Squadrons with Keith. So let's shift on. Okay, so Star Wars Squadrons came out on Friday, and I got it, and Bapster, our good friend, also got it, but he got it on the PC. He got a digital copy and resented it almost immediately because it didn't work. It didn't work and then caused his PC to have God knows how many issues. But I was fine because I played it on my PlayStation and used VR and everything and enjoyed the hell out of myself. Yeah, it was pretty good in regards to stuff. Keith, how did you feel about it?
I enjoy the multiplayer.
Enjoy the multiplayer.
I've been playing a bit of the multiplayer. I'm still getting used to the controls, and it doesn't help the fact that I'm being dyslexic and dyspraxic and everything else. My hand-eye start. This is why I'm not that great at computer games, but I like playing video games, and I'm really into No Man's Sky again. God damn you! I really like the Battlefield 1 and 2 versions of the fighting mechanics and stuff, and I did quite well on multiplayer on that. I've done better than I thought I was going to do.
Yeah, and
I have been enjoying it a bit more. I played a bit this morning and had some fun on it. The story mode has pissed me off. I'm not going to lie. The story mode has annoyed me, and because it's just chock full of freaking politics and wokeness, and it's so obvious. And they make a big deal. You get to the point where you're talking to the tattooed pilot, and they make a big deal out of calling them them. They might as well have a big fucking neon sign in the game going, look, we're calling them them.
This is the yellow lady with Sharpie all over her face, who I lovingly refer to as Cake Hop.
No, it's not a lady. She's
a lady who she can't use a pen.
I know that.
Yeah, she can't use a pen without drawing on her face. I can't trust her. I couldn't trust her I couldn't trust her to empty the bin.
I think she's essentially just been sat there absent-mindedly sitting at a meeting like that, sort of holding the pen. Oh God, what have I done?
I have to agree with Babster that it is not finished. It's as glitchy as anything, and it's less apparent in the multiplayer, but it is very, very apparent in the campaign mode because, the thing is, if you're meant to be following a ship, right? So half the time you're meant to be following your squadron leader, and if you are not following them dead set, right, their ship will just stop in midair. It literally just stop, right? And then you have to turn your ship around, and then it will pause for about a second before the ship then starts moving again. And it's like, that's really odd. Yeah. And like, if you turn your ship, they will perfectly follow you. They will move with you. So when you're sort of like, you know, turning around like that, they move with you. They're not delayed. They sell this as a supposedly realistic sim, as realistic as you can be in the Star Wars universe. But the campaign mode takes you out of that a lot. The multiplayer, you feel far more in the game. You feel far more like you're playing Star Wars, and you know, and you're in the ship. And I think if you get your VR going and play it in the multiplayer modes, it will be pretty damn good.
I haven't tried it in multiplayer. We streamed on Friday the VR.
I know, I saw your video.
So we did that.
I think the campaign mode doesn't help.
Gav's very good at it. He's very good at hitting the target with his ship.
Shut up! I'm supposed to tell people.
He just rams them.
The flight mechanics for the X-wing, because we were only playing the X-wing section. We didn't get around to the TIE fighter one. The mechanics are not quite right, because there's a bit where you have to take out a Star Destroyer's like sensor array, which is like on the top. So what I did is I flew onto the top of the thingy. I stopped the X-wing completely. I pointed my nose down, opened fire until it was destroyed, and then flew off like I was performing a drive-by or something. Yeah. The mechanics on it, the flight mechanics aren't quite there. They're not the same as the one that you got on the Battlefront VR mission, which I found really it bugged the crap out of me. I'll be honest with you when it came to the VR mission, because
I think the way that it flew seemed, I was only watching you, but it seemed very different to Battlefront 2. The Battlefront 2 mechanics for the flight was very good, responsive, and it seemed to do what you wanted. You know, I was expecting similar, because they're both EA, aren't they?
Yeah.
But one's DICE, one's not DICE. So,
well, I don't know, because it was a company called Motive, and I'm sure that they did. Was it Motive or Motion? I'm sure they did the X-wing thing. But I did enjoy myself. I liked, because the great thing in VR is you can fly along, and you can do the thing where you can track them with your head, and then pilot the fighter to match, which is always much more enjoyable in VR. That's one thing I love. VR works really well for cockpits. So cockpits, driving, and you're sitting in the driving a car. If you're walking along and you're being the actual person, it's always a bit shit. But if you're in a cockpit and you have to follow whatever plane or starship or whatever you're trying to shoot at, and you're trying to just bring your one round to bear on them and shoot the crap out of them, that's pretty good. The downside is that the virtual sense for it, I felt like a giant in the bloody X-wing. I really felt that I was in like a kid's toy in VR. Like, you know, you get those little pedal cars and whatnot. I felt like I was sitting in one of them, because it made me feel. I always kept on making the comment. I felt like I was 6'8" talking to everyone in the conference room, but I felt massive, and because it was like that, your virtual sense of the vehicle isn't quite there. So there was a couple of times where I may have bumped into things accidentally, you know, just like grazed the bottom gracefully, not clonk, shall we say.
Well, you didn't blow up, that's for sure.
No, I didn't blow up, which if I was playing Ace Combat and I just clipped anything, I'd just burst into a ball of flames. So that's smart.
That's the thing, they do that well, is that I was watching a few reviews on it and gameplay, and I think they do a good job of like introducing and being new player friendly, but also allowing some kind of depth for more advanced players, because it's kind of like there is a learning curve involved from what I saw, but definitely the optimal way to experience it is VR, no doubt. Like you gotta make that jump. You're not going to experience it the same way if you don't have it in VR. It's definitely a more fun experience.
Definitely, I can say it was definitely more, because I played it to get through much of the tutorial before we streamed as possible, so we could get into the meat of it. And definitely VR. It's so much better in VR. The downside is that you got to sit there after an hour. You can't play VR for more than like an hour and a half without going, I need a break, just because the strain it puts on your eyes, and then the sweaty head that you eventually get from the restraints. Yeah, the restraints. They snap you in there.
Whew. You're not leaving this chair until you're done with this mission, sir.
I'm thinking Clockwork Orange more than other kind of restraints, by the way.
Okay. I was getting the vapors just hearing this.
Because it hurts your eyes. That's why I was thinking of Clockwork Orange, because it's like I need the eye drops as I'm going along. If you've got VR, it is a definite must buy, because it is really good and really entertaining. Have you guys?
I think. Go on.
Have you? I was going to ask if you guys have played either the Battlefront one from the Battlefront VR mission from the first Battlefront game, or the current Squadrons.
I've not.
I think the only Star Wars I think was the Battlefront, where it's the kind of like the RPG kind of game where it's like you build up credits to play as different people. I can't remember the exact game.
You mean Galaxies?
No, that was not Was it Galaxies?
You mean the old one?
Was an online RPG, MMO RPG.
Yeah, this is the one that Mir got us on and quickly dropped.
I don't know.
I can't remember the name of it right now, but
Old Republic?
Actually, I think I still have it on my PlayStation.
Oh, then it's not.
No, it's not the Old Republic if it's on there. No.
Okay.
Oh, you're talking about the newer Battlefront 2.
Yes.
Oh,
Battlefront
okay.
2, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
EA Battlefront 2.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have to bring EA into this.
Yeah.
I apologize. I remember the good old days when I had a Mega Drive and having an EA game, and that little yellow kind of dimple that they had in the cartridge was like, oh my god, it's like we got that weird game we get to pretend to be a ghost, or you've got the new FIFA game. It was the new FIFA game at the time with realistic crowd noises, which now is on its 70th fucking iteration. It's pretty much the same game since day one.
I personally think EA went shit when they moved from their head offices in Chertsey, because that was cool. I used to think EA were cool. Their head office was cool in Chertsey.
That's where they filmed Inception, the bit with the staircase. You know, don't you? I have to go there and visit it, because it's literally just a couple of minutes drive.
I had the mates that I had that worked for EA, then went to Sweden and worked for DICE. We went there for a couple of times for a couple of events. Amazing fucking offices. I mean, they were like, I mean, this was going back 15 years now, but they were cool then. Those were like I'd never been in any kind of sort of office built block like it, but DICE was cool for different reasons. But but EA now, I admit that today I was having some fun. I was enjoying it. I kind of realized that I started playing around with the controls a bit and customizing them a bit, and realized I was getting better. So whereas I was getting sort of mostly last, I kind of moved up the field a bit. So I was quite happy with that. I wasn't last in the sort of hour and a half that I had this morning. I wasn't last, and when I'm not last, that means okay, I'm enjoying it.
I remember when I was a kid, and we had the old Star Wars game with the vector graphics, and if I could have played what I played now with VR, my little version of me would have just, his poor mind would have just gone and been blown properly.
I admit that I playing it this morning, I was going, oh, I wish I had the VR helmet, because that would just really the bits, because there's one in the dogfight map where it's basically you're in this kind of junk area, and there's loads of bits of debris floating around, and you can fly in between it and stuff, and like you use it to avoid when somebody fucking locks onto you. You use it to avoid, and flying through all that kind of crap, that would be pretty good.
The funny thing is when I think about you playing, I picture this.
I can hold it. Pull up. No, I'm all right.
Yeah, it's probably true. The one thing I will say though, I mean, it's been a while, but I've flown an FPV drone, and that's I think I'd have even more of a problem with the control system with VR helmet on, because I'd go into trying to flying an FPV drone, and it's not at all like that. The control system, I think they missed a beat by not basing the controls on a FPV style sort of piloting, if that makes sense.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to the boys. Unless you guys got anything you want to say about Star Wars Battle Squadrons. It's Battle Squadrons now, apparently. Their version of X-Wing versus TIE Fighter. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to the boys, because I watched the boys and it was good. And the end was messy, shall we say? Have you seen it, Keith? Please tell me you've seen it. I told you to watch it. Yes.
Yes, I watched it last night.
So they
Yes.
I'm trying.
First thing, without
hang on.
giving the spoiler away to Nigel, because we've been trying to not give the spoiler away, but that might now not be a spoiler. Because do you think they're not going to do the comic book thing with Black Noir? Because you see half of his face, and that wasn't who we thought it was. Without
we don't know
saying who it is,
we couldn't see it clearly. Was the first thing. It looked like
his
someone who
face
hadn't
was
shaved, scarred,
Oh, okay, yeah.
and hadn't shaved. So it might have. We don't know, because that's one thing with Black Noir being Black Noir being a certain person. Which I can't fucking say anything. Thanks, Keith. You've tied me up in knots there. Sitting there thinking,
I didn't see the lamplighter stuff coming.
You didn't see the lamplighter? That pissed me off, actually. Where he did that and he fucking set on fire. I was like, oh, you cockhead. Why'd you do that? Could have, but they then, with Billy Butcher getting hold of, what was it, Vogelbaum was his name? Getting hold of him to get him to testify, and then heads just popping. So this is the funny thing is I went back.
Quite something, wasn't it?
I went back and I watched the previous episode when they had that character. I think her name is Cindy or Sydney, who escaped from the Vought facility where they were testing Compound V on adults. And I looked at that and I realized one thing. One, she could only do it on line of sight, so you should have seen her in the room. The other thing too is when she exploded people, she didn't just do the head; she did the whole body. Yeah, the whole person went up. And how the hell was she let out, exploded that woman's head in the CIA in the first episode, and then...
It might not be her.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing.
I think she's a red herring. And I think we're going to see it in the next episode. I still think that we're going to get a... Go on.
They do have their version of the X-Men, and I think they do have their version of Professor X. I think they call the G-Men instead. And they have their version of Professor X, and he might be the person doing it through psychic powers.
You could be right. That could be a backdoor to the sort of other spin-off show that we're going to be getting. But I think there's got to be some fallout from Maeve saving Starlight. I think we're going to see what we predicted at the end. Possibly, because they obviously took half his mask off, and you could still be right about her being what's his face's mother, Homelander's mum, which would be really sick. But
that's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting to do that because you want to get that character and you want to push Homelander right over the edge. And if it turns out the fact that he's been shagging his mum all fucking this time, he's gonna just lose it really badly. Sorry,
I think that's probably what they're going to do.
That's my prediction.
Either that or the son's going to get killed, and it'd be what's her face that does it. And I wouldn't put it past the boys. I wouldn't put it past them to do that.
Okay.
Something is going to crack him, and something is going to make him go. And I think they are going to do it. And so it's going to be interesting next week.
It is going to be interesting. And hopefully...
I'm going to say you have to watch it before next Sunday.
Yes, please, because it's the last one.
Yeah, I'll try and catch up on both.
All right, so catch up on it now and watch it on the Friday. Watch it in front of the kids.
Is it the last two?
It'll be the last two, yeah.
There's only 8 episodes, isn't there?
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
I'll tell you what, Nige. You watch that final episode. I'll send you something I think you're going to like, and it's got football in it. I'll download it and I'll upload it to Google because I think you'll like it and I think you might like watching it with your missus. So I will send you something which I actually have been found surprisingly good. It's the only damn thing I've liked on Apple TV, but it was surprisingly good, and it didn't fit, and it didn't take a try. The final episode was really good and didn't finish the way I thought it was going to, which made it even better.
You're not talking about Shaolin Soccer, are you?
No, I'm calling it. It's something called Ted Lasso, and it's surprisingly good.
Oh, this is the American running the British football club.
Yeah, he's managing a fictitious Richmond AFC in the Premiership, and being on Apple TV, you would think that it's going to follow all the other shows with Apple TV, but it hasn't done, and it's been brilliant. It's been funny. It's been really good. I genuinely enjoyed it. The 10 episodes that have been on, it's fantastic.
Just for reference, when we say football, we mean soccer for you guys.
Yeah. We always have to make sure we make that distinction because I'm like, oh yeah, football is today. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry, completely different football.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to tonight because there's a football match on, which Gareth and I both support, which is Liverpool. So, well, that's on tonight. Luckily,
we need you guys to play rugby so you can play with the rest of the world, and it's not that different from American football.
I don't think our health coverage is good enough for that.
No.
It is. Yeah. It does get. You do see a lot of cauliflower ears in rugby.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's time to wrap it up with
Sound effect.
Yeah. So this is the story for our final one. Let me just add this to the stream. I hired an escort, and my best friend's mum turned up.
Yeah, right, pal. You didn't do that accidentally.
I've never hired an escort, but I imagine there's some kind of menu, maybe a Facebook style thing where you get to see what the person looks like. It's not just like, I don't know, just a name. Pick a name randomly. That'll do. Cheryl will do. Jane will do. Blah 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 will do. Maybe he hired her because he knew it was a friend's mum and he wanted to see if it was true. So what was this? Morning adult content. James had only seen a photos of his escort's body before making the booking. Something he very quickly regretted when she knocked on the door.
He then made a mental note to hire her privately later, didn't he?
Oh yeah. Since joining the army 6 years ago, James has found out it's difficult to hold down a relationship. His job means that he's away for long periods of time, which makes finding someone special extremely tricky. However, he missed the physical side of relationships, so he tried hiring an escort. This is a really good story. I'm going to make note of this. Tried hiring an escort. Where was it? I've lost track of it. Physical things. So trying hiring an escort for a very unique situation. His fun, sexy nights have become part of his normal routine. He'd never thought too much of it until one evening when things got very weird, when one of his anonymous bookings turned out to be his best mate's mum. The worst thing is that he told newspapers.
I'm so embarrassed by this. I'm going to get some money out of it.
Yeah.
It's usually the mum does some penis-related thing in these what the fuck stories, but this one I thought was. I had it in my head
as soon as you read that out. I had it in my head. He'd booked her for a bachelor party, and she'd rocked up, and they went, "Oh fuck, I booked the wrong person." But it's not. It's for him.
Yeah, it was for him. At least he's got no shame.
Could you be friends with them anymore after this? Like,
it depends if they went through with the full service.
True point.
That's the question now. Is like, did she walk in the door or did she just turn away?
Yeah, that's the big question.
In my mind, he already paid.
Yeah,
I mean, Ryan, you're right. You got to be financially smart about this.
yeah.
Can't get a refund. She's turned up.
Yeah, so I'm
Maybe
just,
maybe they sat down and had a cup of coffee or something. And a
It's-
chat.
It's like, that's the most expensive time I spent with your mom.
Wow.
Oh no.
That is a text that you send him like right after. Like that's how you tell him.
It's like, bro, you owe me like 50
We-
bucks.
we-
Why? Because your mom took 100.
okay.
We used to have I've got a mate who whose mum was pretty good looking for her age, but gosh, she's my friends on Facebook, so I can't say much now.
Yeah, because you're broadcasting live on Facebook, mate.
Yeah, I'm
What more
broadcasting
detail
live
do you want to give
on Facebook.
Keith?
Hopefully she's not watching this, but she was an attractive lady, even for I mean, she was an attractive lady. But the thing is, we always used to go on holiday because we all went to this place in France, and she would sunbathe topless.
Giving
Always
it
very
away now.
difficult.
Always
Very difficult.
I just like to point out, I read further down, and the transaction did occur.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah, he
Ryan,
lost
you're correct.
money.
The guy paid.
oh.
Oh, yeah,
he
he
got
paid
paid.
me.
The only
He said
I-
that it carried on like an appointment like they didn't even know each other.
Well, I mean,
oh no,
Ryan's correct. I mean, nobody pays to go to Disney World, rise at the front gate, and it's like, all right, time to go home. Nobody does that.
Yeah,
You go into Disney World, you enjoy yourself, get some
And
candy
I like the
corn dog
analogy.
there. Be a corn dog.
now you know for a fact that is the one thing that he will die with.
Oh yeah.
Oh, dude,
Not happy.
he's his best mate though.
That's
He's gonna
yeah,
next time his best mate sees him, he goes, "You fucked my mum."
He's
No,
definitely the best thing now.
his mom's gonna be too like the mate's mom is gonna be like so embarrassed she's not gonna say a word. It's gonna come out in a fight between him and his and his mate. And so it's like, oh, well, you stole this. It's like, yeah, well, your mom.
Oh gosh.
Why not?
Yeah, oh my god.
He went through with it.
Yeah, he did. He went through. The worst thing is they put an advert for the bloody website on the article.
Wow.
My god.
Local hot singles in your area.
No, it's called
Where is the mirror?
it's called Envy, apparently, with double N in it.
Gracious.
Oh my god! I think this is a story. I think this is a story that was planted by journalists to cover up the fact that they got caught. Oh no, I'm doing research. Honest. Maybe it is a journalist. Maybe there's a journalist's friend who fucked his mum. Maybe that's how it worked out. Let's just check the name, just to be on the safe side.
Might as well get a story out of it.
It's written by Zoe Fossey. So yeah, it might be. But yeah, that's awkward, shall we say? All right, and on that rather silly note, I think it's time we all say goodbye. But before we go, we haven't done this in ages because we don't usually we've only just started having guests back on the podcast because we used to be known as another group, another thing called Gaming Face Punch, and we had this thing when we had guests on. It was called the Shameless Plug. So if you'd like to plug yourself shamelessly in front of us.
Oh yeah, we got no shame. Yeah, we got no shame. Yeah, go watch Real Team 6. We got podcast gameplay. We give you real talk with real gameplay. We like being here with Monkey Nut Punch. We're a pretty new YouTube group, and they've been really big supporters of us, and we appreciate it. Ryan, you got anything?
If you ever do come join us, make sure it's kind of rated PG-13. We do not hold back.
Yeah.
Like us, so no, we don't do things for children.
Yeah, we mark when we upload a video. Is this for kids? No, we mark no.
Pretty much our channel.
Right.
We don't hold back. I imagine that's probably why our growth is so low because of all the all the sweariness.
Oh my gosh, that is a good-looking channel page right there. That is nice. I like that. Who is? Oh, that's us. Oh my goodness, I didn't even notice.
I mean,
how did that get there?
I mean, on YouTube, I don't even know how to answer because it actually says, "Is this video made for kids?" Well, it's not specifically made for kids.
Yeah.
So I always say no when I'm uploading on.
No.
And it's not like I swear like a trooper on my channel, but
Yeah, that's a good point.
I don't know how to answer that question.
By the way, Keith, you're still. I subscribed to be your 1,000th subscriber.
Yes,
on your
I
channel,
know. It's
and
not
still-
showing up. I was
Yes.
on 999 before you subscribed, and I'm still on 999. Must see you as a
The system
recurring
knows.
subscriber.
Yes.
Yeah.
I unsubscribed to his channel so I could be his 1,000th subscriber, and then claim a prize for being the 1,000th subscriber, and then just take the piss out of him for as long as I could because I'm his 1,000th subscriber. Where's my prize, Keith? So yes, thank you very much for watching, and we will catch you in the next podcast. Say goodbye, guys.
Goodbye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.